God spoke to me in a miraculous way back in 1999, and a few months ago I had a dream where He told me to share our story with the world. This is my husband, Mike Lynch, and my name is Marcia, and this is our story.
Hi, I'm Mike. As was said earlier, I have a traumatic brain injury and quadriparesis, which is limited use of for all four limbs. And I was in a coma for 11 months. Then there was amazing. I woke up laughing with my nephew jumping on my chest. Thank God I am now 56 and have been married to my awesome, lovely wife for 13 years. I had number 8 out of 13 kids in my immediate family. I had a great upbringing, 12 years of Christian schools, and a very happy, joy-filled life. I was very popular throughout school, and I won the most valuable player and as quarterback of my high school football team in 1974. After high school, I hitchhiked across country a couple of times, and I worked construction. I built the house. I took part in building a subway station in Boston, Somerville, and Cambridge. I also worked with children because I have a special need with kids. God's miracle continues. Now here's my better half, my wife Marcia.
Hi, I'm Marcia, and this is how my life began. Since I was 15 years old, I always wanted to be married, but was never able to find Mr. Right. So by 1999, I was 39 years old, still single, and had been living by myself for 15 years. Needless to say, I was a little discouraged. So I said to God, okay, I get it. Obviously, you mean for me to be single, fine, I'll do it. Then, 2 weeks later, my girlfriend and I were invited to a Mother's Day party by a guy I went to church with, who happened to be Mike's brother. We went, and my girlfriend was off talking to some folks, and I was standing there like a fish out of water, when all of a sudden, Mike comes up to me in his wheelchair, dragging a chair behind him. He put the chair down and said, "Sit down, let's talk." So I sat and we talked, and after a while, he asked me if I'd go out with him sometime. I said to myself, well, I just gave up trying to find Mr. Right, and I'm really not interested because he's in a wheelchair, but there's no harm in going out on a date, right? So I said, sure. He called me that weekend and asked me if I wanted to go out to eat with him at the Sylvan Street Grill. I said, well, how do we do that? Obviously, I'm not able to pick you up in my car. And he said, I'll meet you there. I live right down the street. So I met him there and we had dinner, and I had the best time of my life. When we were done, he said, do you want to go to the movies? And I said, sure, how do we do that? And he said, it's right across the street, I'll meet you there. So I said, sure, and we went and saw a movie. The movie got out at 1 a.m., and I said, so you're just going to tool down the street home at 1 a.m. on a Sunday morning? And he said, yes. I said, you will not. I'm going to drive right next to you all the way home. The next weekend, he called me again and asked if I wanted to go to the Me and Thee coffee house in Marblehead, which was a few cities over. And I said, sure, but how do we do that? He said, well, actually, I have a van, and if you come to my house, my mother can show you how to use it. So I said, sure, I can do that. So I picked him up and we went, and while we were there, I felt like I was falling in love with him. But I was kind of freaked out because I really didn't want to be falling in love with someone in a wheelchair. At that point, I hadn't even asked him what was wrong with him yet. So we went home, and the following morning I woke up and turned the radio on, and this song came on that I had never heard before, and I was awestruck. I couldn't even move. It felt like God was talking to me. I was in shock. When the song ended, it said rebuild many times, so I assumed that's what it was called. So as soon as it ended, I ran down to the music store and asked them about this song called Rebuild. They said they had no idea what I was talking about. About 5 minutes later, I was still in the store and the song came on over the radio. I said, Dad, what is that called? And they said it's called Call and Answer by the Bare Naked Ladies, which is actually 5 guys. So I bought the CD and told Mike that I felt God spoke to me through this song. So I played it for him, and he said, well, what does this line mean? And I said, I don't know. I really should sit down and pray about it and try to figure out what God was trying to tell me. But I never got around to it. A few months later, I was in school taking PowerPoint, and my PowerPoint presentation teacher said, for your final exam, you need to take a song, any song at all, and put a PowerPoint presentation to it. So I said, you have to be kidding me. Not only did God give me this awesome experience, but He's called me to dissect it. So I did. I prayed about it, and word by word, sentence by sentence, and page by page, I created a PowerPoint presentation about what I believe God was telling me to do. Check it out. This is what the chorus of the song actually says. Well, my version anyway. It says, if you call, I'll answer. If you fall, I'll pick you up. And if you court this man, I'll lead you home. I was in shock. I said, you have to be kidding me. This is amazing. God actually means for this to be the man for me. Wow. So here it is. See it for yourself. This is the PowerPoint presentation I created for the song Call and Answer the way I felt God spoke it to me.
Getting to the point where I can be myself again. It's getting to the point where we have almost made amends. I think it's the getting to the point that is the hardest part. If you call, I will answer. If you fall, I'll pick you up. And if you cause this disaster, I'll point you home. I'll point you home. You think
God speaking to me through this song was very powerful because no matter how much I felt like I loved Mike, there is no way in my humanness I thought I would be capable of being his wife. But God said through this song, yes, you can, and I'm going to help you. So 1.5 years later, we were married, and God, true to his word, has been with us every step of the way, and we're sure he will continue with his promise to us forever. We hope this story helps others to trust God in their lives and to know that true love really can show up even later in life. So don't give up hope. There still may be that special someone out there for you too. Just trust God's timing. His miracles continue. God bless Mike and Marcia Lynch.